think everyone gets stressed and worried that they will not be able to complete their PhD when they're doing teaching, but don't let that hold you back, because really this is the ideal sort of time for you to start teaching.
It's really honed, I think, some of my skills in terms of talking to people, presenting, standing up and having more confidence in front of people.
Other benefits are it brings you out of what can be quite a lonely sort of insular experience doing a PhD, so that you're actually forced to speak to a big room of people every week and have individual tutorials too.
I wish I'd known how challenging it would be to keep people engaged for so long, and keeping everyone happy is not easy. And I think that's the thing, that you're not going to keep everyone happy all the time, but as long as you, I think, remain happy in the process and the overall students are engaged and happy in learning, that's okay. That the odd person that might not be happy is okay. It's not the end of the world.
Acting the part of a lecturer and taking on those cues and that role of being a lecturer and not essentially performing is interesting, and I think it helps you get through the flurry of nerves that you might have, or the lack of confidence that you might have as an individual. You can sort of mask it by stepping into that role of a lecturer.
If I had to focus on the teaching for a few weeks, and I'd feel a bit of guilt that I wasn't doing the PhD, and then if I was doing the PhD I'd feel a bit of guilt that I wasn't doing the teaching. So it's trying to wear a couple of different hats at once.
Sometimes you wonder if it's working. You're not used to this and you kind of see a lot of blank stares. It can be discouraging at first. My very first term I tell my students, I'm brand new at this, I've never done this before either. So we're learning together.
When the essays started coming in for the module, around half of the students in the class had picked my subject area to write their essays on. So that was a really good indication that they had engaged well with the subject matter. People had not only listened to what I had been talking about, they had gone out and they had looked at the wider reading, some of the other sources that I had mentioned but I hadn't actually covered within the lectures themselves. They had obviously gone out and had looked at those other sources and used that within their essays, so that was a good indication that they had enjoyed it and it wasn't just me feeling that way.
So I model the way I teach based on what I would have liked to have received. I want the student to be stimulated by the work and not just being told by some sort of authoritative figure.
Even with simple tasks such as translating sentences, if they are fun, if you get students to play with the language, and whenever they are engaged, I think that your teaching is successful.
I think a lot of it is personal reflection. It's kind of taking the time to look back and say, okay, how did that go? And sometimes that is, again, asking students who I've had in the past or students who I trust and kind of getting an extra set of eyes.
Well, I keep doing my preparation for every class. Even though I have done my preparation once, it doesn't mean that I don't have to prepare anymore for classes.
We also do a bit of a peer review where you can go and watch other people teach, so you can also pick up things from others and having them watch you as well, whether you move your hands too much, like I'm very aware that I do, or you speak too fast or too slowly, or you don't change your voice enough. Those are all actually skills that are quite basic, but that we never think about ourselves.
Always make your lecture completely offline. Don't think that your Wi-Fi is always going to work. Usually there's a little bit of the technology that fails, so just have backups in place.
I would tell anyone, make sure that you remember that you're in the room. This isn't something that happens independent of you. And I've certainly been around tutors who just kind of sit back and let things happen instead of actually realizing you're in the room, you interact with them. And actually, if you know their names, for example, you can call on someone to elaborate a point or really challenge a very bright student, put them on the spot.
Yeah, but you sometimes hear PhD professors speak about, oh, you've got to work from 9 a.m, 9 p.m, 7 days a week on your PhD the whole 3 years, or else you will fail, things like that. That's not a very healthy approach to take it. It's actually quite beneficial to immerse yourself in the subjects that will hopefully be pretty relevant to your own PhD work.
As much as you might think you don't know a lot about it, you often do know more than those students, but you're also going to learn a lot from them and be open to learning from them. I think it's letting go of any persona that you think that you might need to have in teaching. It's not a power battle or a power game. Actually, if you respect your students and teaching and the process, they'll respect you in return, and it can be a really nice and fulfilling exchange. It seems quite basic, but I wish I'd known that it's okay to not know everything, because no one knows everything. And you learn that the more that you do it, but at the very beginning, you just enter a world where everybody looks like they have all their ducks in a row, and you start to feel like all of yours are waddling off.
You can reflect back to the students, you can search out the answers together with the class that you're teaching, and you can explore around the topic. You'll get there. It's not the big sort of Wizard of Oz thing that it appears to be when you're an undergrad student.
Giving tutors more support and training, challenging them to really think about what they do, and also that starts with the institution really valuing the tutor, not just as a workhorse for academia, but actually as a person who is connecting and caring for their students.
I'm really lucky to have an excellent supervisory team who are really, really good at imparting their knowledge and their experience onto me. I talk to colleagues that I share my office with and talk through the issues and some of the questions that might pop up in order that I'm confident in that area, and just read around as much as I possibly can.
I would say that actually I would encourage you to instill confidence in your students. Make them believe, because they can, that they can go on to do something great and meaningful to make this world a better place. And I think if we frame this in terms of this is all a journey for you and for them, and you're in this journey together, I think some really powerful and amazing things can happen.